ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. Excuse me. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and what an action-packed morning we have here today. Scotty Webb, Breakfast Bankroll. MLB is back. His thoughts on the All-Star game, and of course, full slate today at 2:20, I think. My red-hot Boston Red Sox, winners of 10 in a row, travel to Wrigley Field. The Red Sox got it real tough. Next 3 series are real tough. This will kind of see where we are by the end of July, of course. 10 o'clock, I will be a guest with Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk. I think we're doing some Twitter Spaces, I'm not sure. And then 11 a.m., Matthew George back, WNBA, NBA, MLB talk, and Sean Alvarez, 11:30, the debut of Del Mar opening weekend, I should say, and of course Saratoga. So we're full of P&V, and we got a lot to get to. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download that app. It is free. And of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com, steaks, seafood chops, wines, appetizers. Terry Smith has it all. Use the promo code STEAKS10. Get 10% off your full order. So without further ado, Mr. Beam 'em Up, Scotty Webb. What's up, chap?
Hey, man, it's Coffee Friday.
Yes, it is Coffee Friday. We checked in, busy day, so we're starting the show early. I think I was up before the sun, but that's for another show. We talked on Monday, so, I'm a purist, but it's an exhibition game. I don't want to say I don't like where the game's going, because I understand where the game is going and why. But it is what it is. Thoughts on the All-Star game, Scotty?
Well, I've never been a big proponent of the All-Star. I think it's great that the fans get to see the guys that they want to see in the game, and they go out there and play for 2-3 innings, 4 innings, whatever, and it is what it is. It's glorified batting practice. I don't know what to tell you. But at the same time, I'm getting to a point where if the players don't like it and they don't go to the game, that's a problem. And I think that we're seeing more and more of these guys, especially this year, I thought, where they just elected, I want the rest. I don't want to go play. And, it's supposed to be a privilege and an honor to be selected to an All-Star game and go participate for 3 innings, for gosh sakes. And I get it. There's all the other, stuff that goes on in the home run derby and, and all the other stuff. And maybe you don't want to be participating in any of it. But I think that my overall opinion basically is that, look, just have fun with the thing, and it is what it is. I don't like all the pregame stuff. I don't like, the rapper guys doing whatever they were doing, and all the other stuff. So, um, it, there's, to me, there's really not a lot of controversy of who belongs and who doesn't. It's a fans game, and it's not a specific reward, right, for great performance. It should be, but it's really not. It's the fans dictate who goes, and then managers and circumstances around selecting the other guys is kind of what it is. And there's guys that don't get to go that deservingly should be there based off their performance and what they mean. But at the same time, just have fun with it. I think if you have fun with it, you'll like it. No matter how the outcome comes, or if you have swing offs or whatever they end up, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I sat there and thought this game was all National League. I mean, just look at who they played. The starting lineup for the National League versus the American League, and all the pitchers that they had and everything. I mean, they should have won the game in the first 9 innings. They wouldn't have any of this problem.
And all the incentives, it's kind of comical. Get to the All-Star game and you get $250,000. Well, I was voted in, but I don't want to play because I want to make sure I'm rested for, the second half of the year. Well, or don't play and we'll pay you. Well, don't worry, we'll give you that money. The owners jumping in, and I remember back in the day, the managers playing a big role, saying, "Oh, we got them coming up after the break here, so let me make sure I use their closer. Let me make sure I use their pitchers." I mean, there was that cat and mouse game. And then back not too long ago, Scotty, the winner of the All-Star game, meaning the American League or the National League, hosted the World Series. So there was incentive there. Now it's just gotten, again, it's each league. How are we going to up, the NBA weekend, the MLB weekend, the hockey weekend, the NFL really is just blown theirs up because no one wants to go, no one wants to get hurt. Again, just a money grab. That's all it is. And back in the day, listen, Fenway Park where I am, I thought the greatest All-Star game in history when Ted Williams got brought out in a golf cart. That was the game where Pedro Martinez was just God that day, striking out the side, and I still get chills about that. But the world we live in, the games that we watch, the games that we idled as kids, it's all changed.
Well, the competition isn't the same for that game. I remember Pete Rose running over the catcher for the A's, and just destroying him in a All-Star game. And the reality becomes is look, they play each other all the time now. So interleague scheduling and playing has diminished the value of these two teams in that regard. Excuse me. So I don't think that there's any kind of competitive flow there. There's no juice for that. So anyway, I think it is what it is. It's a way to celebrate the game, and see the stars do what they can, I guess. But at the same time, it's pretty cool though. You see Aaron Judge face Paul Skeens in the first inning or something. That was pretty cool. So some of that stuff you don't necessarily get to see unless they play each other.
We're back. Before we have you break down some games, I know it's early. I don't know what you have in front of you. I mean, you can still talk games or whatever. My headline: MLB is back. Red Hot Red Sox travel to Wrigley. Can the streak continue? A lot of headlines. Also, trade deadline coming. The price to get Joe Ryan is going to be obscene. There are a million names out there. A lot of it propaganda. A lot of, hey, I'll throw it out there if you want to overbid. Fine, most likely we're going to pull them back anyways. From your eyes, from your perspective, second half is here. Give me the Scotty Webb outlook, thoughts, where your head is today on July 18th at 9/11.
Well, my thoughts is that I don't know how much the trade deadline is going to be impactful. There's not like an impact bat or an impact arm you can go get. Unless you're going to overpay for it and you're going to make like a mid-season trade, basically, because, like you said, Joe Ryan or whatever, but, the Twins aren't really in it. They could be, but they're not. And if they're going to part ways with Joe Ryan, they're going to get something back because he's a mainstay he's their number one pitcher right now, and he's the mainstay of their team. So if a team is willing to do that, that can change a little bit because, for example, the one thing that I keep seeing a lot is the Yankees and the Pirates matching up, and the Pirates getting rid of whatever his name is. It's too early in the morning for me, Jeff. I can't remember these guys' names. The guy that pitches behind Skeens, the second. Keller, Mitch Keller. I see that, and to be honest, if the Yankees were to go get Mitch Keller, that would help them. That would fill a role for them. Mitch Keller's been pretty good for the Pirates, and that's a guy that can help the Yankees. But at the same time, if you're talking about getting guys like Zach Gallen, I'm not sure that's going to help teams because Zach Gallen's got a WAR of 0. He's got an earned run average, probably, I don't know, I don't do earned run averages, but it's probably near 5. So, that's not necessarily going to help a team. And in terms of bats, if Eugenio Suarez is the best bat you can go get, which he's not having a bad season, I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, he's got 30 home runs already. So if you go get him, then what else is out there? I mean, if you go trade for somebody that's already a star on a team, well, you're going to have to pay for that. So I don't know what's going to happen at the trade deadline. You got these little deals that'll happen, and they're not making impactful. And that's the problem. These teams need to make impact. They appease their fan base by saying, hey, I moved this guy and I got that guy. But nobody cares that you go get Adam Frazier, okay? Nobody cares. And that's what the Royals just did, right? They got Adam Frazier. Who cares? That's not moving the needle. I don't mean that mean and disrespectful, but basically it is what it is. So if you're the Royals and you want to go catch the Tigers, you think Adam Frazier is going to be the guy that does it? That's the kind of thought process you got to have. And excuse me, I'm still shaking this stuff up. But I sit there and go, it's. I don't know how many of these impact deals can be made, and I don't know what they're going to look like. You talked about the bullpen and closer type guys being moved. Look, that can be impactful, especially for some of these teams that need some help. I see Dodgers. That's all they want to do is go get bullpen guys. I don't blame them. They use their bullpen more than anybody. So it's going to be I think it's going to be interesting to see what the trade deadline brings, but I'm not super excited only because, man, it would shock me if something major happened. And some of the rumor mill that I keep seeing about is, the Yankees haven't done anything major for a little while, and they're sitting there going, the Yankees are bought in this year. They're going to go crazy. Why would they do it? Why would they do it this year? They don't have pitchers this year. They're all hurt. So I don't think I don't know what it's going to look like, to be honest. I really don't. I do think like what we talked about before, some of this stuff is over. You know what I mean? Like there's only a couple teams playing for these spots, they're a handful at the most. And if these handful of teams go and say, "Hey, we're going to be competitive," okay, great. If they don't, then they don't. Like the Cincinnati Reds, I sit here and look at them and I go, "That's a great pitching staff. They just can't hit. They need to go figure out how to hit." Ellie De La Cruz is not doing terrible, and they're starting to get McLean back. He's starting to do some good things. But if they can get that team and filled out and do some stuff, but why would they do that now? Why don't do that in the off season? What does it do to make a run now? Hunter Green's still not really back yet, so I think that those are teams that could set themselves up to be good, but at the same time, I don't know. It's they're too far away yet, but really they're not. I mean, they're not going to catch the Cubs, but if they make it to the playoffs and then if they got good pitching staff, maybe they could get there. I think Boston's a team that really could go out and do some things and fortify themselves a little bit better, and they could be the best team in the American League if they really wanted to be, because the American League is soft.
And that's the thing. I keep saying we've been here the last 3 years. We've been put in this spot the last 3 years. And let's just say Cora and company, and management, whether it's Bloom, whether it's Sam Kennedy, whether it's Breslow now, has not brought in the star or stars. Cora has then sulked. Cora has made it clear, hey, we needed arms. Our team is disappointed, and they've had subpar 500 records the second half. It would be kind of shitty, excuse my French, if you put a 10-game winning streak to the All-Star break. Now you got us buzzing again, and their next 3 series are tough. But my point is, if they don't bring in what you want, I'm not overpaying. I love Joe Ryan. Okay, I talk to you all the time. Joe Ryan Day, I know it's not Paul Skeen's day, but Joe Ryan's legit. You put him behind Crochet, it's a decent 1-2 punch you got there. But I'm not going to mortgage the farm. The good thing is you got 2 years after this year that you own him. So, it's not one of these rentals. You talk about the power pens, the bullpens. And again, let everyone overpay for Keller. Let everyone overpay for Ryan. Let everyone overpay for Alcantara. I'm going to go get flamethrowers, situational guys, 2/3 of an inning, 1/3 of an inning, 1 1/3, lefty-righty combination. Let me get my back end locked and loaded, and I can line up my 3, 4, 5 guys. Hey, guys, just get us 4 1/3. Get us 4 2/3. Hey, get us 5 1/3. I got the rest.
Yeah, I don't discredit that theory, because the reality is those guys are easier to come by, and I don't mean it easier to come by in the sense that but there's more guys throwing 100 miles an hour today than ever before, and not only that, the reality is they don't make as much money. You know what I mean? A starting pitcher makes $8 zillion dollars, and these relief pitchers are theoretically a dime a dozen, and like Easterk, right? For was with Oakland, and then he went to the Royals last year. The guy throws 100 miles an hour too, and those kind of deals, that get are undervalued, and they help teams. So I think there's a lot to be said for securing that back end, because all you got to do is get your offense and starting pitcher to hold you in the game, and then hope that you can scratch off a run or two in the back end of the game and win, because your bullpen holds you there. So I have no qualms about that philosophy whatsoever. I think it's not necessarily a bad one. The question is can you get 7, 8 guys that can do that? Because that's the big ticket now. You're going to have 8 guys that can throw and do different things out of the bullpen, and invariably, those guys need to be able to pitch, and what I mean by that is share the time right accordingly, right? You got to have them be able to pitch some, because if they don't pitch, then they get all mad and personnel issues, and bullpens are like dealing with oh my God, it's like little high school girls. But but at the same time, it is what it is. They seem to all pull together during the playoffs. But during the regular season, man, they want to get their time in, and even the guy that gets blown up wants to get out there and throw. So it is what it is.
Scotty, we're about 21 minutes in. Busy day for you, for everyone here. Weekend is here. Slate is here. First game, 2:20. Red Sox, Wrigley. I'm going to pull you front and center like we always do. Give us 10, 15 minutes what your eyes are seeing. It's early, so we understand. If you got a couple in pocket or just seeing what you're seeing, it's fine. But I'll be here. Give me the signal, and I'll jump back.
Yeah, I was able to do most of this work last night.
Okay.
The only issue that I ran into last night to this morning is, sometimes they don't have the list of pitchers, so I have to do my own research and find out who I think is going to pitch. And I had Merrill Kelly pitching today. He's not. It's Brandon Pfaadt, so I had to do that this morning. And the other one was I thought the Brewers were going to throw Quintana, and they're throwing Priester. So that didn't work out. So I had to fix that this morning. But that's all done. I mean, it's all done. I got all the work done. So came back from poker and that bad beat last night, and then it stayed up all night doing this shit. So it is what it is. It's my life. I love it. I love it.
All right, I'm going to pull you front and center. Give me a second.
Well, like Jeff was saying, that first game today is kind of interesting because it's the Cubs and it's the Red Sox, two great big names, and the Red Sox are on fire, and that's when you want to bet teams. You want to bet them when they're on streaks, and you want to bet them when they're winning. You don't certainly want to bet on them, when they're losing, and you don't want to be the guy that says, oh, they're going to come off their 6-game losing streak today, because that doesn't happen that way in Major League Baseball anyway. So the reality here, though, is when I look at this game, this is Lucas Giolito, and he's been really good for them, especially in the last. Let me pull up my numbers here real quick. In the last several starts, let's see how many. So in his last 6 starts, right, 3-6, he's only had one bad game, one below average game. He had a game score of 44. And then he had 73, 75, 69, then the 44, then 77, 64. Look, he has been ace-like and very good in these last 6 starts. The previous start before that was a game score 5. His game score for the season is a 53. So that tells me I think he's a little bit over his skis right now. So his numbers are on the very high side. This is the classic example of sell high, buy low, right? So the problem with that theory in this game is that Colin Ray for the Cubs, his last 2 starts are a game score 66 and 67. He's not an ace pitcher either, and he is a game score 47 for the year. So a game score 50 is an average pitcher. So he's a below average pitcher that's doing very well. So how does that match up? Well, it doesn't. You have the Red Sox, who are scoring a lot of runs a game, and their offense right now, if I click over to it, their offense ranks 3rd. They're scoring 6 runs a game. You would expect the offense to do pretty well here. Now, the other side of it is, well, if Giolito is a guy that gets hit, well, maybe both offenses can do well today, because the Cubs have a good offense. However, the Cubs offense currently is ranking 23rd. They're not hitting. They're scoring 3 runs a game. Much different, 3.3. Much different than what the Red Sox are doing. So I kind of looked at this and I thought, well, there's other things in play here. The Red Sox are minus 1% to average, which is not, that's nothing. That means they're basically average, but they're still minus. on the road. Weighted runs created plus, that means they're 99 is their number. Whereas there's not many teams better than the Cubs at home in terms of getting a lift. I mean, there are, but there's not many. They're 15% better offensively at home. So they're going to get a lift on offense. Giolito's due for a bad game, ripe for a bad game, if you want to call it that. So I think there's going to be some runs in this game. I looked at the wind. The wind's kind of it's blowing in at 6 miles an hour, so that's not anything major. The number's 8.5. So then I started thinking about, well, what does the bullpens look like? And to be honest, both bullpens have been decent. And I think there's less likelihood there's going to be a lot of runs scored in the back end of the game. So I think the better way to kind of approach this one is, instead of trying to figure out if Giolito can handle the Cubs at home and their lift that they get, and he's due for a bad start, and Colin Ray, who's due for a bad start and handle the hot offense, instead of saying that those guys can they do it, and which one can and which one can't, just assume that both of them give up some runs, and then look at it from an over than the first 5 perspective. That's kind of what I would think in this particular matchup. And then we'll see what the other matchups look like. Keep in mind, these teams, even the Dodgers and the best teams in baseball, they're not as good on the road. They're just not. They don't score that many runs. They don't win the games. The record, for example, of the Red Sox on the road is 21-25. The record for the Cubs at home, they are 30-16. They're almost double, right? I mean, if you doubled 16, it'd be 32. So they're in the teams are much better situationally when the roles are reversed, and it's a big advantage to the Cubs. That's why they're the favorite today, right? My number in this game, I thought, if I pulled it up, there it is. I think this is more like minus 107 Cubs, not minus 130 Cubs. So I think that the number's off. So I think that provides value to the Red Sox. So if you're just betting value, I like the Red Sox, but I do like this game more as a, as I say, first 5 over kind of spot. I'm not going to talk about the Pirates and the White Sox. I thought it was an interesting San Diego and Washington. I have a bigger number for San Diego than what the line is. This is Dylan Cease, and I have Mike Soroka as the pitcher. Is that what that is? I think that's – where's the number? Is that confirmed that that's who it is? Soroka, San Diego. Yeah, it's Soroka. Now, Cease, he's a game score 50 for the season. He's an ace in the past. He's not been an ace this year, but he can still pitch like an ace. And he's been pretty dominant against the Nationals. His one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting with him when I looked at this game, where's Cease? There it is. He has pitched against the Nationals enough where he's got like 50 at-bats against this lineup. And his ex-WOBA number, so ex-WOBA means basically his ability to hold the opponent offense, is .283. Well, the average is going to be about .330, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's well below. He does really good at stopping the Nationals' offense. And then Soroka on the other side is kind of hit or miss. Now, he's been really good, but surprised me. I shouldn't say surprised me. He's got better numbers in some spots than Cease does. So Soroka on the season's a game score 50, and so is Cease. Over the last 3 games, Dylan Cease a game score 33. Well, he's not going to be a 33, right? I mean, that's not what he does. He's going to raise that number. So I expect him to pitch well. This is San Diego. They need to win some of these games. It's the first game off the All-Star break. I would expect them to be in reasonably good attitude, reasonably good shape to play a road game. And the other thing here is when I talk about home teams, right, they always win, but not so much when it comes to the Nationals. The Nationals are 10 games under 500 at home. That's not very good at all for a home team. So they don't have any home field edge. So I think that bodes well for San Diego. I think San Diego is probably the right side here. I didn't bet that game, but it's just, I'm thinking about it. Another spot that I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know who's pitching for the Angels. I have Storiano. That's who I put in here. But I don't know that that's the case. And it's a big number, so I'm just going to pass that. I was surprised that it's a big number, the line. This Verlander-Bassett game, so this is Giants in Toronto. Look, I don't have one of the websites I use isn't awake yet this morning, so I didn't get certain numbers. But Verlander's not been good in terms of team wins and team losses. He's just not. He's been losing a lot. And Bassett's good there. The thing that surprised me was Verlander's a game score 47 for the season, well below average. And Bassett's not a below average pitcher. He's actually pretty good. But the numbers is what surprised me from Verlander. He's got a 3.76 Sierra number, for example. It's average, but 3.76 is not something I would have expected from him. I thought it'd be in the fours. So what that means is I thought he was going to get hit a little bit more than he probably does. But here we go again. The Toronto Blue Jays don't lose home games very often. They just don't. And their offense is much better at home. Offensively for Toronto, where are they? They're there. They get a 21% lift at home. And the Giants, minus 9% on the road. That's a big difference. And currently, the Toronto Blue Jays are 6th in offense. They're scoring 5 runs a game. The Giants are scoring 3 runs a game, and they rank 25th. So that's a big difference. I think that when you start to think about how that breaks out, the San Francisco Giants are minus 9.2 runs to an average offense. 9. That's a lot. And the Toronto Blue Jays are 5 runs better than an average offense. So it's a mismatch on offense. And theoretically, it's a mismatch on the mound. So I think Toronto is the right side here. I just think it's lined properly. I think the number's right, but I think it's a mismatch. I think Toronto wins this game. I don't know what to do quite yet with that Cincinnati game. Lodolo's playing against Mania. It's Mania's first start of the season. He did make 1 relief appearance. He went 3 innings, pitched. He had great stuff that day. So we'll see how it kind of carries out here. The Reds don't do good against left-handed pitching, and they don't mind being on the road, but they don't do good against left-handed pitching. So I don't want to support Lodolo, and I certainly don't want to support Mania in his first start. So this is just let me see what happens in this game. I don't know who's pitching for Kansas City. I have Lugo, but I don't have it confirmed. I would tell you that if Lugo pitches, I like Kansas City. Because I think they should be bigger favorites than what they are. Alcantara at home is decent. He's not even an average pitcher anymore. His game score for the season for Alcantara is 42. Oh my goodness, that's bad. For the last 7 games, it's a 49. So he's gotten a little better, but 49's average. Well, I shouldn't even say that. It's below average. So I don't like the Marlins at home. I like the Marlins on the road. And Kansas City is one of the worst home teams there is. So I do like Kansas City on the road. So in this particular spot, I think you can get a veteranish type pitcher in Lugo if he's pitching. And if you get that, I think that he can stymie the Miami offense that's been halfway decent lately. I think he can stymie that, and I think that it makes it very difficult for the Marlins to come through here. And just so you know, I don't like the Kansas City offense, but when they're hitting, they're hitting. Currently, they rank 8th. They're scoring 4 runs a game. They rank 8th. Isolated power rank is 4th. That's the time to bet them, right? The time to bet them is when they're hitting. So I like Kansas City on the road today, but caveat to that is make sure that Seth Lugo's on the mound. I don't know who's pitching in the New York game for New York. My research says it's supposed to be Max Fried, but Max Fried had a blister taken, on his finger the last time out. I don't know if he's going to be healed up enough to actually pitch. So I didn't do this game because I don't know who's pitching for the Yankees. The Baltimore Orioles Tampa Bay game, they just kind of played each other in Baltimore. Thought it was a little stressing for Tampa Bay up there. But again, now we're switching the roles, right? The home team should be better here. But as I say, the home team should be better here. I think that number for Tampa Bay, I have them. They should be much higher. I have it in minus 140, and the number is like 116, so there's value there. But at the same time, I tell you that score comes out where you handicap the game more for favors Baltimore. Tampa Bay has lost 2. I think they're 3-7 in their last 10 games. So they on a downswing. I don't bet on teams on a downswing, even though it's a home team. Charlie Morton's coming back to fix the Rays. So we'll see how that one plays out. Detroit, Texas is interesting in the sense that Texas started to hit. They're ranked number 2 in offense right now. So it's kind of interesting. Patrick Corbin's not been a bad pitcher all season. He's been a lot better than, happy Patrick Corbin Day, bet against him guy. If you did that, you're in trouble because, he's won a lot of games for his team. And then Reese Olson has not been great since he's been back off of the injured list. And Detroit has gone through its own struggles. They're like 5-5 the last 10. So I think this is one of those spots where, in my opinion, I'm just going to let it kind of ride out and see what happens. I think you might see some offense. The weather's nice and hot in Texas. Wind's blowing out a little bit, so you might get some runs there. Nobody cares about the Twins in Colorado. I was kind of surprised that it's in the ones, meaning that it's like minus 160, 170, something like that for this game. The Arizona game against St. Louis is important for both of these two teams, to stay in the races and do whatever. Fott is a guy that was bad, but he started to turn some things around. His numbers are a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Palante is a guy that is kind of average all the way around. But again, here's another team, St. Louis, that doesn't do well on the road. They're another offense that doesn't hit on the road. And Arizona likes to hit at home. So, it's one of those spots where you sit there and go, do I really trust the Arizona side or do I want to go the other way? My opinion would be is that I would be more leaning on the Arizona side than I would on the St. Louis side. Priester and Glasnow, I'm just going to skip these guys. Look, Glasnow has only pitched once since he's been back, and he pitched pretty well. But he pitched against Milwaukee, so they're going to see him again. Priester on the other side, he's been hit or miss, but mostly hit. He's been pretty good, but I don't want to. Again, this is Milwaukee on the road, and the Dodgers are the best lift offense in all of baseball at home. So I don't want to go against the Dodgers here. But the Dodgers are in their weakerish mode in terms of offense they've been all season. And then you got Houston and Seattle. And Houston is not the same team now that they've got a bunch of injuries and things going on, and they're just not the same offense. So I'm sort of expecting Seattle to make a run, and I would almost expect Seattle to make a run enough to actually catch Houston. So we'll see what happens. Walter's not the best pitcher in the world; he's an average guy at best, and Castillo's pretty good, but obviously, Houston's seen him a bunch of times. Seattle doesn't get a big lift at home. The stadium they play in is not the greatest in the world, but they were hitting prior to the break. I expect them to be able to do pretty decent here. So I think this is Seattle's going to win this series kind of matchup kind of thing. Houston's going to need to have their pitchers be dynamite, which they've been, but they're going to need to be dynamite because their offense is struggling or going to be struggling for a little while here until they can get some stuff going. Anyway, I was a little bit surprised that the pitching matchups weren't dynamic and great and stuff on the first day. Maybe we'll see some better ones over the weekend. A little disappointed in the teams trying to figure out who was going to pitch. I mean, they've had all week to figure out who's going to pitch, and they still have a bunch of guys that's listed as, you don't know who's going to pitch. So a little disappointed in that, but, that's baseball. That's managers doing manager stuff. Anyway, Jeff, that's what I got for you this morning.
Great job as always, sir. And you're right. You would think with 4 or 5 days off, we're all cooking with Crisco. We're all excited here. We can't wait. And then they throw us, the lemon sandwich here. And I like your eyes in Seattle. Overnight, Houston minus 115. This morning, now Seattle minus 134. Again, could be the Castillo factor there. This is our 10th year, Scotty. You'll find this interesting. In my first 9 years, I will say 6, 7 of my worst weeks have been the week before the All-Star break. It's just how the stars align. Guys already checked out, whatever it is. We went 12-3 going into the All-Star break. Okay? Now, the caveat is, now you got a short window, new week. You got people that are balls to the wall. Oh, they're chomping their saliva and they haven't been playing baseball, and they're just going to come in and start firing like they've been firing. The problem is, I don't know if Scotty Webb has been working out, staying laser focused like he was before the break, or if he's been sitting under a mango tree, and so you got to tread lightly here this weekend. Let's kind of pick up the pace starting next week, but proceed with caution this weekend.
Yeah, no question. I mean, the focus of baseball has not been there for 3 or 4 days now. It just hasn't. There's certain guys that, maybe trying to stay on a club that they need to put in the work when other guys aren't, kind of thing. But the star players, the guys that drive the bus, they're not playing. They're not even thinking about baseball. Look, man, I got a break. I want my break. I deserve my break, kind of thing. I'm good. I'm gonna rest. I'm not going to think about this stuff. And front offices, they're the teams. They're the ones that's doing a lot of work this week. The front offices. How are we going to do this? How are we going to move that player? What are we going to do? When are we going to call up the kids? When what are we doing? We need to look for next year, right? They need to figure out how much playing time do we need to see this kid play and stuff like that. So I think as we start looking at this stuff and as we start breaking it down, this weekend is obviously back to baseball. For some teams like the Red Sox, for example, they've got a tough road to hoe, and I don't know how it's going to work out for them. But at the same time, you got to still go play the games, and they're just games. Just go out there and beat the other guy, right? Go out there and beat him. So we'll see what happens.
Couple series prices just to throw out to the world right now, and to throw them out to you, so when we come back on Monday we can take a look back. Kind of surprising prices in my eyes. Seattle minus 135 in the series, so kind of sort of, if you like them tonight minus the 135, you can get the series price, and you only need 2 out of 3, but that's for another show. Arizona minus 160, Scotty, hosting the Cardinals. Detroit only minus 160 at Texas is a little catchy. Your Rays only minus 145 against Baltimore. That one smells a little. Atlanta minus 140, Scotty, hosting the Braves. I know you get probably I was going to say Strider Schwellenbach. You don't. You get Strider and a cloud of dust. So they're going to have to take 2 out of 3 there. There was another one. Toronto only minus 120 hosting San Francisco. San Diego only minus 160 at Washington. Cubs minus 140 hosting the Red Sox. Any of those jump out at you?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Toronto's a good home team, and they've got enough. They've got with Scherzer and Gausman and Barrios, they can match up to what the Giants throw out there, and the Giants aren't a juggernaut on offense. No. So and they're not good on the road, the Giants. So I think it's a mismatch, to be honest. I think Toronto's going to beat the crap out of Giants. So we'll see what happens. I'm surprised. Well, I shouldn't say surprised. That's the wrong way to say it. The Giants have hung around. Let's put it that way. In my mind, they've hung around. I don't think the Giants are as good as the Padres. But we'll see what happens at the end, because the Padres, don't want to be racist. They have all these players, right? And they just can't get it right. So I really, really, really hope that some of these teams get their acts together to a degree. I really do. I'm surprised. One of the things that Atlanta does is Atlanta has still played well at home. They've been a better home team than they were road. They can't win on the road for the life of them. I mean, they're like 15 games under 500 on the road, something like that, maybe 12. Which are not good. I mean, they're supposed to be a great team. That's not good. So now they play at home, but they're playing a good team. So, some of these, like the Braves, did good teams. So we'll see what happens with the Braves and see how that works out. I am interested to see what the Mets do against the Reds. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup, because I think the Reds are going to have better pitching every game, but the Mets are going to have a better offense, and it's at home. So we'll see how that kind of rolls out. But look, the Reds, they like to play on the road. I don't know what the deal is. They don't like to play in the little bandbox they got down there in Cincinnati, but they're they can pitch and they can stay in these games.
Well, we're going to be back Monday morning, 10:30, unless something changes. Great to have you back. Great to have baseball back. We'll watch the weekend. Go Sox 220 at Wrigley Field. 10 o'clock, I will be a guest with Andrew 10 minutes from now at McGinnis Picks. I think Twitter Space, maybe. I'm not sure there. 11 a.m., come back here for Matthew George at 11:05 and Sean Alvarez talking some Saratoga and Del Mar. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, the one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Wish everyone a blessed morning. Go get some more coffee. Stay tuned.